How are you doing? I gotta figure out what to do on this one. I'm thinking I'm on the wrong deal here. I'd rather look at uh, I'll look at the map. Anything, but I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in here. Okay. So so we're here. We're still in book 5, people. We're still in book 5 of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We're under the Return of the King extended version, uh, which is well, we're in chapter 5, the Ride of the Rohirrim, and we're looking at possibly what war, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. We are on page 830. 830. And I'm going to go ahead and disappear, people. Yay. Here we go. Let's see if I can turn this down. Okay, people. It was dark, and Mary could see nothing as he lay on the ground, rolled in a blanket. Yet though the night was airless and windless, all about him hidden trees were sighing softly. He lifted his head. Then he heard it again, a sound like faint drums in the wooded hills and mountain tops, mountain steps. The throb would cease suddenly and then be taken up again at some other point, now near. Now further off. He wondered if the watchman had heard it. He could not see them, but he knew that all round him were the companies of the Rohirrim. He could smell the horses in the dark and could hear their shiftings and their soft stamping on the needle-covered ground. The host was bivouacked in the pine woods that clustered about Illinok Beacon, a tall hill standing up from the long ridges of the Dawn forest that lay beside the great road in East Honorian. Tired as he was, Mary could not sleep. He had ridden now for 4 days on end, and the ever deepening gloom that slowly weighed down his heart. He began to wonder why he had been so eager to come when he had been given every excuse, even his Lord's command to stay behind. He wondered too if the old king knew that he had been disobeyed and was angry. Perhaps not. There was to be some understanding between Durnham and Elfham. The marshal who commanded the eor in which they were riding, he and all his men ignored Mary and pretended not to hear if he spoke. He might have just been just another bag that Durham was carrying. Durham was no comfort. He never spoke to anyone. Mary felt small, unwanted, and lonely. Now the time was anxious, and the house was in peril. They were less than a day's ride from the outlaws of Ministry that encircled the Tallands. Scouts had been sent ahead. Some had not returned. Others hastening back had reported that the road was held in force against them. A host of the enemy was encamped upon it, 3 miles west of Almaden, and some strength of men was already thrusting along the road and was no more than 3 leagues away. Orcs were roving in the hills and woods along the roadside. The king and Eeyore held council in the watches of the night. Mary wanted somebody to talk to, and he thought of Pippin. But that only increased his restlessness. Poor Pippin, shut up in the great city of stone, lonely and afraid. Mary wished he was a tall rider, like Eeyore, and could blow a horn or something and go galloping to his rescue. He sat up, listening to the drums that were beating again, and now nearer at hand. Presently, he heard voices speaking low, and he saw dim, half-shrouded lanterns passing through the trees. Men nearby began to move uncertainly in the dark. A tall figure loomed up and stumbled over him, cursing the tree roots. He recognized the voice of Elfham, the marshal. "I am not a tree root, sir," he said, "nor a bag, not a bruised hobbit. The least you can do is immense to tell me what is afoot. Anything that can keep so in this devil's murk," answered Elfham. "But my lord sends word that we must set ourselves in readiness. Orders may come for a sudden move. Is the enemy coming then?" he asked Mary anxiously. "Are those their drums?" I began to think I was imagining them, as no one else seemed to take any notice of them. "Nay, nay," said Elfham. "The enemy is on the road, not in the hills. You hear the roses, the wild men of the woods. Thus they talk together from afar. They still haunt Duwalden forest. It is said, remnants of an older time they meet. Maybe they be living few and secretly, wild and wary as the beasts. They go not to war with Gondor or the Mark, but now they are troubled by the darkness and the coming of the orcs. They fear lest the dark years be returning, and seems likely enough. Let us be thankful that they are not hunting us, for they use poisoned arrows, it is said, and they are woodcrafty beyond compare. But they have offered their services to them. Even now, one of their headsmen is being taken to the king. Yonder go the lights. So much I have heard, but no more. And now I must busy myself with my Lord's commands. Pack yourself up, Master Bag. He vanished into the shadows. Mary did not like this talk of wild men and poisoned darts, but quite apart from that, a great weight of dread was on him. Waiting was unbearable. He longed to know what was going to happen. He got up and soon was walking wearily in pursuit of the last lantern before it disappeared among the trees. Presently, he came to an open space where a small tent had been set up for the king under a great tree. A large lantern covered above was hanging from a bow, and a cast of pale circle of light below. There sat Theoden and Eomer, and before them on the ground sat a strange squat shape of a man, gnarled as an old stone, and the hairs of his scanty beard straggled on his lumpy chin like dry moss. He was short-legged and fat-armed, thick and stumpy, and clad only with grass about his waist. Mary felt that he had seen him before somewhere, and suddenly he remembered the pupil men of Dunharrow. Here was one of those old age images brought to life, or maybe a creature, descended in true line through endless years from the models used by the forgotten craftsmen long ago. There was a silence as Mary crept nearer, and then the wild man began to speak. In answer to some question, it seemed. His voice was deep and guttural, yet to Mary's surprise, he woke the common speech, though in a halting fashion, and uncouth words were mingled with it. No, father of horsemen, he said, we fight not, hunt only, kill Gorgoon in woods, hate orc folk, you hate Gorgoon too. We help as we can. Wild men have long ears and long eyes. No, all past. Wild men live here before stone houses, before tall men come up out of water. But our need is for aid in battles and Emma. How will you and your folk help us? Bring news, said the wild man. We look out from hills. We climb big mountain and look down. Stone City is shut. Fire burns there. Outside, now inside too. You wish to come here, then you must be quick. But Gorgoon and men out of far away, he waved a short, gnarled arm eastward. Sit on horse road, very many, more than horsemen. How do you know that? Said Eomer. The old man's flat face and dark eyes showed nothing, but his voice was sullen with displeasure. Wild men are wild, free, but not children, he answered. I am great headman. Gone, bury, gone. I count many things, stars in the sky, leaves on trees, men in the dark. You have a score of scores counted 10 times in 5. They have more. Big fight and who will win. And many more walk around walls of stone houses. Alas, he speaks all too shrewdly, said England. And our scouts say that they have cast trenches and snakes across the road. We cannot sweep away in sudden onset. And yet, we need great haste, said Emma. Milburg is on fire. Let gone, bury, gone, finish, said the wild man. More than one road he knows. He will lead you by road where no pits are, nor Gorgoon walk, only wild men and beasts. Many paths were made when stone house folk were stronger. They carved hills as hunters carved beast flesh. Wild men think they ate stone for food. They went to Druidon, to women with great wings, but they are no longer. Road is forgotten. But not by wild men. Over here behind you and lie still under grass and tree. There behind women and down to den, and back at the end to horsemen's road. Wild men will show you that road. Then you will kill Gorgon and drive away bad dark with bright iron. And wild men can go back to sleep in the wild woods. Emma and the king spoke together in their own tongue. At length the Indian turned to the wild man. We will receive your offer, he said, for though we leave a host of foes behind, what matter? If the snow city falls, then we shall have no returning. If it is saved, then the orc host itself will be cut off. If you are faithful, gone, buried, gone, then we will give you rich reward, and you shall have the friendship of the mark forever. Dead men are not friends to living men, and give them no gifts, said the wild men. But if you live after the darkness and then leave wild men alone in the woods and do not hunt them like beasts anymore, gone, buried, gone will not lead you into trap. He will go himself with father of horsemen, and if he leads you wrong, you will kill him. So be it, said the Indian. How long will it take to pass by the enemy and come back to the road? Said Ian. We must go at foot pace. If you guide us, and I doubt not, the way is narrow. Wrong men go quick on feet, said God. Ways wide and 4 horses and stone laying valley yonder. He waved his hand southwards, but narrow at beginning and at end. Wrong men could walk from here to Den between sunrise and noon. Then we must allow at least 7 hours to the leaders, said Elam. But we must reckon rather on some 10 hours for all things unforeseen may hinder us. And if our host is all strung out, it would be long ere it can be set in order when we issue from the hills. What is the hour now? Who knows? Said Theoden. All is night now. It is all dark. What is not all night? Said Gon. When sun comes, we feel her, even when she is hidden. Already the climbs over East Mountains. It is the opening of day in the sky fields. Then we must allow 7 hours for the leaders, said Eomer, but we must reckon rather on some 10 hours for all. Things unforeseen may hinder us, and if our host is all strung out, it would be long ere it can be set in order when we issue from the hills. What is the hour now? It is, who knows, said Theoden. All is night now. It is all dark, but it is not all night, said Gon. When sun comes, we feel it even when she is hidden. Already she climbs over East Mountains. It is the opening of day in the sky fields. But then we must set out as soon as may be, said Eomer. Even so, we cannot hope to come to Gondor's aid today. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to have a 5-minute break. Here you go. Again, here are the real Mackenzies with chips. All time favorite. Never go wrong with that.
Was hard at work, the devil appeared from hell. He had a roller cover and a bucket full of nails. The troubles around the ship, take these nails and down the road. You also have to sing this right, and I will take the show. The ship despises the rat, and the rat squealed and hissed, and the bucket of nails will cover until the ship was his. Hey! Chase your work, he got rid of the rats. He would not be a problem with the stuff the third of that. But the devil would not take, no matter how hard he's right. The rat must sack the boat right and he bits him in the eye. It seems to show the river out that under shame is found. They found a ship around and made his life a living hell. He slowly lost his mind, he lost his family. He lost his job and had to join the King's Navy. I own the ship. I say to is my master, I will get you ship. I let my nose a bit. I own the ship. I say to is my master, I'm gonna get you ship. The ship, the bits him and the touch of him until he finally fit. He said to the captain to show about the rig. The captain spied his madness and the shelter in the brig. The tiller had his man, he knew his words to do. Each commander Roger to the plank stayed still. The water was clear and the ship went down. She was fast upon the rocks on which the rats dance around. I gotta fill the ship. I say to you, my master, I will get you the ship. I got my clothes on deck. I gotta fill the ship. I say to you, my master, I will get you the ship. I got my clothes on deck. I gotta fill the ship. I say to you, my master, I will get you the ship. I got my clothes on deck. I gotta fill the ship. I say to you, my master. Oh yeah, I got you.
I'm pretty sure this is the point in the set where I took my shirt off yesterday, and for continuity on the DVD, I'm going to do it again. Hey, who wants to see my titty?
We're all old punk rockers. We have to stick together.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and restart again. At the bottom of 833. Mary waited to hear no more, but slipped away to get ready for the summons to the march. This was the last stage before the battle. It did not seem likely to him that many of them would survive it, but he thought of Pippin and the flames in miniatures and thrust down his own dread. All went well that day, and no sight or sound had they of the enemy waiting to waylay them. The wild men had put out a screen of wary hunters so that no orc or roving spy should learn of the movements in the hills. The light was more dim than ever. Then they drew nearer to the beleaguered city, and the riders passed in long files like dark shadows of men and horses. Each company was guided by a wild woodman. But old Gon walked beside the king. The start had been slower than was hoped, for it had taken time for the riders, walking and leading their horses, to find paths over the thickly wooded ridges behind their camp and down into the hidden Stoneway Valley. It was late in the afternoon when the leaders came to wide gray thickets stretching beyond the eastward side of Amundin and masking a great gap in the line of hills that from Nordal to Den ran east and west. Through the gap, the forgotten Wayne road long ago had run down back into the main horseway from the city through Anarion. But now, for many lives of men, trees had their way with it. And it had vanished, broken, and buried under the loose uncounted years. But the thickets offered to the riders the last hope of cover before they went into open battle. For beyond them lay the road and the plains of Anduin. And while east and southwards the slopes were bare and rocky as the writhen hills gathered themselves together and climbed up bastion upon bastion into the great mass and shoulders of Middelling. The leading company was halted, and those behind filed out of the trail of the Stonewang Valley. They spread out and passed to camping places under the gray trees. The king summoned the captains to council. Eomer sent out scouts to spy upon the road, but old Gorn shook his head. No good to send horsemen, he said. Wild men have already seen all that can be seen in the bad air. They will come soon and speak to me here. The captains come, and then out of the trees crept warily other pupil shapes so like old God that Mary could hardly tell them apart. They spoke to God in a strange, throaty language. Presently Gon turned to the king. Wild men say many things, he said. First, be wary. So many men encamp beyond them. An hour's walk yonder, he waved his arm west towards the black beacon. But none to see between here and the stone folks' new walls. Many busy there. Walls stand up no longer. Gorgun knocked them down with earth thunder and with clubs of iron. They are unwary and do not look about them. They think their friends watch all roads. At that, old Gon made a curious gurgling noise, and it seemed that he was laughing. Good tidings, cried Eomer. Even in the gloom who gleams again, our enemy's devices all serve us in his despite. The accursed darkness himself has been a cloak to us, and now lest he destroy Gondor and throw it down stone from stone. His orcs have taken away my greatest fear. The outlaw could have been held long against us. Now we can sweep through. If once we win so far, once again I thank you. Gone, very gone of the woods, said Theoden. Good fortune go with you for tidings and for guidance. Kill Gorgun, kill orc folk. No other words, please, wild men, answered Gon. Drive away bad air and darkness with bright iron. To these things we have ridden far, and said the king, and we shall attempt them. But what we shall achieve only tomorrow will show. Gondberry Gon squatted down and touched the earth with his horny brow in token of farewell. Then he got up as if to depart, but suddenly he stood looking up like some startled woodland animal, snuffling a strange air. A light came in his eyes. Wind is changing, he cried. And with that, in a twinkling, as it seemed, he and his fellows had vanished into the glooms, never to be seen by any rider of Rohan again. Not long after, far away eastward, the faint drums throbbed again. Yet to no heart in awe the host came and he feared that the wild men were unfaithful, strange, and unlovely through they might appear. We need no further guidance, said Elfhelm, for there are writers in the host who have written down to Moenberg in days of peace. I, for one, when we come to the road, it will veer south, and there will lie before us still 7 leagues ere we reach the wall of the Talons. Along most of the way, there is much grass on either side of the road. On that stretch, the errant riders of Gondor reckon to make their greatest speed. We may ride swiftly and without great rumor. Then since we must look for fell deeds and the need of all of our strength, said Ian. I cancel that we rest now, and set our hence by night, and so time our going that we come upon the fields, and tomorrow is as light as it will be. Or when our Lord gives the signal. To this the king assented. The captains departed, but soon Elfhelm returned. The scouts have found naught to report beyond the Grey Wood, Lord, save 2 men only, 2 dead men, and 2 dead horses. Well, said Eomer, what of it? This lord, we were errand riders of Gondor. Hirgon was one, maybe. At least his hand still clasped the red arrow, but his hand was hewn off. And this also, it was seen by the signs that they were fleeing westward when they fell. As I read it, they found the enemy already on the outwall, or assailing it. When they returned, and that would be 2 nights ago, if they used fresh horses from the post, as is their wont. They could not reach the city and turned back. Alas, said the Indian, then Thor has heard no news of our riding, and will despair of our coming. Need brooks no delay, yet it is better than never, said Eomer. And mayhap in this time shall the old saw be proved truer than ever before, since men spoke with mouth. It was night on either side of the road. The host of Rohan was moving silently. Now the road passing about the skirts of Monalum turned southward. Far away and almost straight ahead there was a red glow under the black sky, and the sides of the great mountain loomed dark against it. They were drawing near the Romance of the Pelennor, but the day was not yet come. The king rode in the midst of the leading company. His house, whole men about him. Elfhelm's Eeyore came next. And now Mary knows that Durham had left his place. And in the darkness was moving steadily forward until at last he was riding in the rear of the king's guard. There came a check. Mary heard voices in front speaking softly. Outriders had come back, who had ventured forward almost to the wall. They came to the king. There are great fires, Lord, said one. The city is all set about with flame, and the field is full of foes that all seem drawn off to the assault, as well as we could guess. There are few left upon the outwall, and are heedless, busy in destruction. Do you remember the wildman's words, Lord? Said another. I live upon the open wound in days of peace. With fire is my name, and to me also the air brings messages. Already the wind is turning. There comes a breath out of the south. There is a sea tang in it. Faint though it may be, the morning will bring new things. Above the reap it will be dawn when you pass the wall. If you speak truly when far, then you may live beyond this day in years of blessedness. So there it is. He turned to the men of his household who were near, and he spoke now in a clear voice, so that many also the writers of the first ear would have heard him. Now is the hour come. Riders of the mark, sons of Errol, foes and fire are before you, and your homes far behind. Yet, though you fight upon an alien field, the glory that you reap there shall be your own forever. Oaths ye have taken, now fulfill them all to Lord and land and league of friendship. Men clasp spear upward shield. Eomer, my son, you lead the first ear, said Theoden, and it shall go behind the king's banner in the center. Elpium, lead your company to the right when we pass the wall, and Grimbold shall lead his towards the left. Let the other companies behind follow these three that lead as they have chance. Strike wherever the enemy gathers. Other plans we cannot make, for we cannot know how things stand upon the field. Forth now, and fear no darkness. The leading company rode off as swiftly as they could, for it was still deep dark. Whatever changed, with far a might forebode. Mary was still riding behind him, clutching with his left hand while the other he tried to loosen his sword in his sheath. He felt now bitterly the truth of the old king's word. In such battle, what would you do? Worry about just this, he thought, encumber a rider in hope at best. To stay in my seat and not be frowned to death by galloping hooves. It was no more than a league to where the outlaws had stood. They soon reached them. soon for Mary. Wild cries broke out, and there was some clash of arms, but it was brave. The orcs busy about the walls were few and amazed, and they were quickly slain or driven off. Before the ruin of the north gate and the Ramas, the king halted again. The first era drew up behind him, and about him on either side. Durham kept close to the king, though Elkham's company was away on the right. Grimwald's men turned aside and passed round to great gap in the wall, further eastward. Mary peered from behind Durham's back. Far away, maybe 10 miles or more, there was a great burning, but between it and the riders' lines of fire blazed in a vast crescent, at the present nearest point less than a league distance. He could make out little more on the dark plain as yet, and yet, as yet, he neither saw any hope of morning nor felt any wind, change or unchanged. Now silently the host of Rohan moved forwards into the field of Gondor, pouring in slowly but steadily, like the rising tide through the breaches in the dike that men have thought secure. But the mind and the will of the black captain were bent wholly on the fallen city. And as yet no tidings came to him, warning that his designs held any flaw. After a while the king led his men away somewhat eastward to come between the fighters of the siege and the outer fields. Still they were unchallenged, and still Círdan gave no signal. At last he halted once again, and a city was now near. A smell of burning was in the air, and the very shadow of death. The horses were uneasy, but the king sat snowman, motionless, gazing upon the agony of ministers as if stricken suddenly by anguish or by dread. He seemed to shrink down, cowed by age. Merry himself felt as if a great weight of horror and doubt had settled upon him. His heart beat slowly. Time seemed poisoned in uncertainty. They were too late. Too late was worse than ever. Perhaps Círdan would quail, bow his head, turn, slink away to hide in the hills. And suddenly Mary felt it at last. Beyond doubt it changed. Wind was in his face. Light was glimmering far, far away in the south. The clouds could be dimly seen as remote gray shapes rolling up, drifting. Morning lay beyond them. But at the same moment there was a flash, as if lightning sprung from the earth beneath the city. For a seeming second it stood dazzling far off in black and white, its topmost tower like a glittering needle, and then as the darkness closed again, there came rolling over the fields a great boom. At that sound, the banishment of the king, suddenly erect, tall and proud he seemed again, and rising in his stirrups, he cried in a loud voice, more clear than any there had ever heard a mortal man achieve before. Arise, arise, riders of Judah, fell deeds awake, fire and slaughter. Spears shall be shaken, shields be splintered. A sword day, a red day, ere the sun rises. Ride now, ride to Gondor. With that, he seized a great horn from Gulak, his banner bearer, and he blew such a blast upon it that it burst asunder, and straightway all the horns in the house were lifted up in music, and the blowing of the horns of Rohan in that hour was like a storm upon the plain and a thunder in the mountains. Ride now, ride to Gondor. Suddenly the king cried to Snowmaid, and the horse sprang away. Behind him his banner blew in the wind, white horse upon a field of green. but he outpaced it after him, thundered the knights of his house, but he was ever before them. Emma rode there, the white horsetail on his helm, floating in his speed, and the front of the first year roared like a breaker foaming to the shore, but then could not be overtaken. Facing or the battle fury of his fathers ran like new fire in his veins, and he was borne up on snow mane like a god of old. Even as Oromi, the great of the battle of the Bala, when the world was young, his golden shield was uncovered, and lo, it shone like an image of the sun, and the grass flamed into green about the white feet of his steed. For morning came, morning and the wind on the sea, and the darkness was removed, and the host of Mordor wailed, and terror took them, and they fled and died, and the hoofs of wrath rode over them. And then all the hosts of Rohan burst into song, and they sang as they slew, for the joy of battle was on them, and the sound of the singing was fair and terrible came even to the city. Okay, that was the end of chapter 5. The Ride of the Rohirrim. So, wow. It was kind of like, well, are we going to go in there? Are we going to fight? Are we going to go in there? Are we going to fight? Are we going to fight? Are we going to fight? Yes, we're going to fight. We're going to fight, fight, fight. And I said, okay, so they went over there and they loaded up. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. But it seemed like, oh my God. He had to literally, the king, literally had to go over there and scream a battle cry and to go to lead these men to battle, to get them hyped up, to sing, and to go and kill. But I'm going to tell you, it does not stop there. We are going to be, on the next time we read, it's going to be chapter 6, the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Well, we're still a little ways away from book 6, people. Book 6. Wow. So, okay, so I'm going to let everyone go right now. And let everyone rest up. I realize it's Monday. And we're all like, oh, I just got home tired or something. I'm just going to set up that kitchen table and eat and repast and have at it. Good, great. Get that nutrition in there, one way or the other. But everyone, please make sure, if you're going to do something cool, make sure you don't hurt yourself or someone else. Be careful. Safe travels. Other than that, be good to each other. Laters.